What's up guys, welcome back or to the channel, and on today's video I'm going to show you how to turn this into this. So let's get into it. Let me take you back to where it all first started. So before I even had the idea of making better use of this space, I already had an idea of what I wanted to do since I already had done this before. Kind of.
Bro, we got like so many likes, so many comments.
Of course, there were some bumps and learning curves throughout the building process, but it ended up being quite nice in my opinion. But after just 3 years, the mistakes, design flaws, and other problems started to show through, and that is the ultimate reason as to why I decided to rebuild the pond and the whole backyard area in the first place. I got to making some sketches, plans, and other renderings using programs like Adobe and SketchUp, which is free. And like I said, the main idea of both the new and old ponds were pretty similar, and there were just some small things I wanted to change. Mostly the size of each. I wanted to make the spaces more usable and have a lot more area for seating, and the pond a lot bigger as well. Time to start the deconstruction process, and first thing to do was to drain the pond and take out all the fish and move them to a temporary holding tank, as well as the plants and other lily pads that were in there too. After that, it was just a matter of moving material to the side to level the ground, but after a couple trips I realized that it was going to be a long time moving all this stuff with just a couple of 5-gallon buckets. So I went and got one of these Gorilla carts from big box stores, and it held up pretty nice, but after just a couple of trips it ended up cracking. But it did serve my purpose throughout the entire process. So once I did that, I started emptying a couple of the rocks that I already taken out of the pond. Then I moved on to the flower bed and taking out all the stacked stones that were already there. Get started by taking out and also moving all the pea gravel that was in the old fire pit area. That was pretty easy since there was a bunch of underlayment underneath. Now it's time to get some of the first materials that we needed, and the first one was some subgrade or compacting gravel, and I decided to use my truck to take the first load, and after just one load I realized that my truck would have been taking a beating. And you could see my suspension just go completely down, especially after the second bucket full. And then once we got that into the yard and dumped, it was time for me to pick up some more of the stacking stones for the flower bed wall. And then I moved a couple more plants around, but once I got this second pallet, or this pallet of stacking stones from the big box store, the guy actually dented my tailgate loading in the pallet with the forklift, so that was the last thing I used my truck for as far as getting materials. And not to mention that the color of the stones was actually different, so they gave me a wrong color stone and dented my tailgate, so I was pretty unhappy. That was probably the worst part about the whole project. But once I started stacking the stones, I started to backfill with other dirt that I started to excavate that gravel behind the stacking stones, which allows for drainage and stability. And after I got a majority of the flower bed wall done, I started to work on the fire pit area and start to grade that out. And I only put a slight slope on, probably the bare minimum you could. I did an inch drop per 8 feet, so that allows for heavy rain to just drain off the fire pit area without washing away too much. And then I got some more of that subgrade and spread about a 2 to 3 inch layer.
Oh, Jack, you got it on the grass.
And then I got some of this flag wall stone. And this was probably the hardest part about the whole project. I thought it was going to be quite easy laying the first couple stones down, but after probably 5 minutes I realized it wasn't going to be too easy. So then I decided to try a different area and move towards the side and starting from an edge, but that wasn't helping, so I decided to just start from the middle and spread out from there. And this probably took me a good couple of weeks to do and complete, just because it was so tedious and it's just a giant jigsaw puzzle. Those 2 steps, I had to do a little step area, and I used some construction adhesive just to lock those 2 rocks together. But don't do as I did and wait until the surface is completely dry, or else you won't have good adhesion and you'll have to do it again later. And then I started excavating some of the pond area and carving out the final shelves, and I used that with a laser level. And then on the bottom layer of the pond, I put some more of that rock dust, and that serves as like a soft layer for the bottom of the liner to sit on. I got the liners, just 2 20 by 15 liners from Amazon, and I also got the seam tape kit from Amazon as well. And seaming it was pretty easy, but I could definitely say it'd be a lot easier if I had a longer board underneath the 2 edges that I was seaming together. Definitely a tedious process, but an important one, and if you mess up, it'd definitely be not good. I try to reuse as much underlayment as possible from the old pond since it was in good condition. I just used as large pieces as possible. And once that liner was in, I started working on this stacked stone wall, which is the same stone I used in the flower bed area. And this would serve as like a negative edge that the rocks from the fire pit area would kind of cantilever over, creating that negative edge like you're right over the water. So this obviously had to be done before the whole fire pit area could be completed. And just backfilling so that you have as much stability as possible. And Pepper really loved the pieces of liner. done in the pond, you could definitely start seeing everything come together. It definitely looked quite nice. And similar to how I did before in the walkway area, I used the same construction adhesive, top flow stack stones in the pond, and this would create the negative edge.
She's waiting for you to do something cool. She's waiting for you to do something cool.
You're giving me anxiety. I'm literally having full-blown anxiety.
Now was time to start rocking the pond. Then it was time for some plumbing and the pump. Well, there was 3 pumps on this pond in total, but this is the biggest one that would pump towards the waterfall. And Pepper getting kicked off the job site again. And here's me using the laser level again, just starting to tuck back some of that liner in areas that I could. Using some of that compacting gravel as well. And once most of the pond was rocked and ready to go, it was time to start working on the intake bay. This was like an intake bay slash water vault design, and it definitely works well, but I had to wait until the last second to do it so that I would know where the water levels would be. Using the rock spread out across the berm and create little shelves for planting areas definitely makes it all come together. And I also used this piece of driftwood that I found, and I kind of cut it in half and set it so that it looked like it broke over the rock or something of that matter, and so that hopefully when the water is coming over it, it'll kind of go over those logs and around that rock, creating like a split waterfall. And then it was pretty much time to start draining or rinsing the rocks and draining that water and start filling it up. I did that while I continued to finish up the intake bay area. And with the pond 90% of the way done, it was time for a test.
She's about to open the door. All right, here goes nothing. Part 2.
And with that all mostly done, there was just a couple other things to tidy up before this whole project could be considered finished, for now at least, because you know nothing's never really finished. But some things like respraying this fire pit, and some other things that would just make it come together. and turn it into this. Like I said, nothing's really ever finished, but this is definitely far from it. So there's definitely a couple more things that I'd like to come out and show you guys in the future. And don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, comment, and other than that, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.
Jake, go straight.